Everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason, and this week is May the 4th, 2022. And this morning is a Wednesday, so that will go to next Wednesday, which should be May 11th, if I can do my math correctly. And this week, we are still in the intensity that is left over from the weekend. And so if you don't remember, the weekend was Pluto retrograde, a new moon called the new black moon, just meaning the second new moon of a month, and then a solar eclipse. And that solar eclipse was slightly intense because during that solar eclipse, when the moon was allegedly supposed to be dark, there was some brightness in it, right? So there was inwardly, there's this light shining on our darkness or our inner world that we could see things that perhaps were unseeable while we were doing that. And so that energy is carried over into this week. And I won't say we're still reeling from it, but we're still recovering and integrating that energy that sort of happened. And the energy is intensifying. Last week, we were into the Mercury retrograde pre-shadow. And so that pre-shadow still is in effect. I mean, I believe by the end of the week, we should be in Mercury retrograde. So be prepared for relationship reviews and that deep inner work to continue. And it's not inner work that you haven't finished per se. It isn't a going back or being held back to a different grade or going back to a different time because you didn't learn your lessons correctly. A lot of times it's for review of what pieces that you've built along the way in relationships and business and understanding of yourself. Do you want to continue to use as building blocks for this future, right? And this really intense future is sort of moving with us into this next week. The sun has not settled down at all either over the last evening. So yesterday, May the 3rd into May the 4th overnight, there were 3 X-class solar flares. Those solar flares are the ones that cause a little bit of brain fog and a little bit of pressure in the chest. And it's when they would have a CME or a mass ejection of energy or particles that would hit the earth, when that would give the heart palpitations and you'd feel almost an anxiety. And so those didn't eject anything this last time. So they would have just caused an electric charge and a brain fog. And so since those were happening overnight, they are indicative of what's sort of occurring in solar energy. And if you're paying attention to solar energy or you're watching any of the solar weather channels, they are predicting that the sun they're showing that the sun is way ahead of schedule in its intensity. Usually the sun goes up and down in sort of a wave of brightness and darkness or activity and no activity. And so it is ahead of the curve. So the activity is higher than it's been predicted, meaning that the solar cycle is probably going to be more intense than predicted. And so that solar cycle really is causing energetic shifts in the mind, and probably something that we haven't seen since probably the Middle Ages. And so that electric sort of current, in a way, y'all are probably waking up at 3 a.m., 2:30, 3:30 a.m. in the morning, probably on a regular basis now. And what's happening is usually that would be in the metaphysical world sort of attributed to like a spiritual awakening, that there is something or somebody that is trying to wake you up and have an interaction. And that by all means could still be the case, especially if you're doing deep work on trying to be more spiritual. But really it's just a planetary thing where as the earth spins and the sides of the earth or the poles of the earth get to a different direction, then it's that energetic or electric shift from night to day. And so you could use that energy definitely, especially during this time, like they did in the Middle Ages, right? They would usually wake up, light a candle, do some prayers, do some meditations, write books, compose songs, right? So all the great times of like the Renaissance and the Enlightenment period were sort of born out of those ideas and energies. Now, don't be upset with yourself if you don't write a new score of some kind of great symphony. They were dealing with a lot less information and weren't as bombarded from just general thoughts or even the zeitgeist, right? So the group think was not being flooded with stuff from the TV, stuff from online, memes, right? They just basically woke up and were like, oh, it was a rough day today. I worked hard in the yard, or I worked hard on the farm, or I went to town. And, that was their only interaction. They weren't dealing with all of the information all at once. And even things that were far away, they had to send letters, which took days, weeks, and months even to arrive. So they weren't bombarded with information. So don't get too hard on yourself if you haven't come up with the greatest book or the next great YouTube channel. And so that energy of the sun, that energy of the retrograde, also that I believe there is a meteor shower that should be happening over the weekend. I think those are called the Aquariids. I am terrible at pronunciation of star happenings, but what am I on the star report for then, huh? But that sort of energy is going into this weekend. And so it should be enlightening. It should be awakening. It should be newness that's happening. So don't feel put upon by all the changes, all the intense energy. Just sort of get excited that new things are happening. And when you sort of think about that you have a place in the stars, right? So this is May the 4th, and that May the 4th energy has become a saying, a feeling, an energy that we all share, usually in the English-speaking West, but Star Wars has been around for so long, and the idea of star systems and good and evil and flying, at the speed of light, through warp speeds, through portals, through wormholes, through time and space, right? That whole idea that we are a part of that epic should be something that we embrace when we say, May the 4th be with you, right? And that 4th is really something to sort of be paying attention to. The good guys and the bad guys use the same force or that energy, right? So all of this energy, whether you're feeling put upon or whether you're feeling enlivened to wake up in the middle of the night and write books, is the same energy. And the thing that you need to pay attention to, which is really going to help you during this week, is, are you going to understand that energy as good or as bad, right? So it's up to you, right? So if we are working towards embracing our own sovereignty, meaning our own ability to create our own lives, to know the inside of ourselves, and to use the cosmos to understand and as a tool to get that done, then when we claim that, hey, I'm looking at a whole bunch of old stuff I thought I was done with, hey, I'm waking up and I'm not getting enough sleep, right? That's a perspective of, oh, I don't want to do that, right? But if you look at, hey, there were a lot of good things in relationships and jobs and past engagements that didn't go well, but there's really a lot of things that went right, perspective. If there's, hey, I'm not getting the right sleep, but I'm going to use that anyway, right? So I don't get time to meditate. So I'm starting to meditate. Maybe you pick up a practice during this time of non-sleep, right? That's a perspective shift that May the 4th can inspire in you. And so as you go through the week and it becomes more intense because the sun is in its cycle and the solar flares are waking you up, and the Mercury retrograde is going to hit and the Pluto retrograde is going to intensify, just sort of understand that you are a spiritual being that is built for this, and your perspective on how to deal with it is going to increase or decrease the effectiveness of the force within you. So I hope that was good news for all of you. Look to the stars, look to the sky, and also look within yourself to see how you are indeed as big and as great as the cosmos, which we all look to as fantasy, but is really our true inner reality. Until next time, many blessings. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you could, and we will see you again next week.